every company wants AI to do everything and make all of their processes like very easy and simple, right? But what would you say most companies are doing wrong trying to utilize AI, and what would you say is the biggest way for them to actually use it correctly? What would be your advice to companies looking to get into AI and using it to make their processes efficient, and what is the right way they should be looking at it from a wider company perspective?
Well, I think you should be looking at the how do you have to realize that the AI systems are difficult to control. So you don't want to put something into a process where having an error in the process can shut the company down. So there are cases like if I'm running an ad tech company, like I'm running a search engine, and I show an ad to somebody and they don't click on the ad, it's not a big deal. I got other ads, right?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. We won't make a lot of money, but it's not going to kill us. But there are cases where if the AI makes a mistake and it destroys the company, well, then you don't want to put it in production that way. You got to make so that's the challenge is understanding how much tolerance do you have for failure because these things fail. They fail a lot. They fail in unpredictable ways, and they fail in ways you can't detect. So you have to be willing to have, you have to be careful when you put them into a process to realize, what kind of quality control do I need? What kind of quality control do I need over the process? Does it have to be strictly perfect, or can it be, can we accept some errors? And that's essentially where we are.
Yeah. Makes sense. And then looking at various different companies in different industries, like you have all these different companies that want to implement AI based on the different business lines, departments in each company. Currently, based on the AI technology, which department or which sort of task would you say that a company would have the most value in using AI right now, ML, and specifically part of a company across industries, right? Across different sectors. So what would you say is the biggest return that they would get in what sort of business line or what sort of processes in a company?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest are things like where I do think things like, having sophisticated chatbots that can provide advice, can help people get answers to questions, knowing that the answers might not be correct, saying, look, here's a possible suggestion. I think search systems, enterprise search, where people are trying to find information.
Yep.
Because sometimes you're finding information, you kind of, as long as you understand that the information you're looking for could be inaccurate.
Yep.
Um, Certainly in analyzing documents
Yep.
and realizing I want to read some very complex document, try to understand it, realizing I'm still going to have to go back and do this is just the first pass.
Yep.
Even in things like legal review, where you're looking, okay, it's trying to highlight problem. What AI is really good at is highlighting problems. So
Yeah.
you can see a problem that exists. Say, okay, I didn't find every problem, but if I find a problem, I save a lot of money. Um, it's useful in things like in anywhere you're trying to find again you're where like anywhere where getting a good solution is saving you a lot of money, but if you don't solve the problem you're going to lose the money anyway. So here's an example. We had an insurance company come to us and they said we have problems identifying the correct customer, and sometimes people apply for credit and we don't give it to them and then we get sued because we discriminated against them. And we did it because we misidentified who they were. Charles Martin's a very common name. I lost when I was at working at eBay. I had to take a week off because I got fired because they thought I was a cocaine dealer in Florida.
You robbed a bank.
Yeah, the guy had the same name, same birth date. I'm like, yeah, Charles Martin it's like one of the most popular. It's a French name. It's one of the most popular names in the country. So no, it's not me. You have to actually check the fingerprint. So I had to go back, check the fingerprint, and oh, it wasn't me. Yeah, gee, thanks, guys. So and so like in that case, like detecting that there was a problem would save the company hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawsuits. And if you don't detect it, it didn't matter because it was there anyway. But stuff like that. You're plugging holes that are already there. That's an example where the AI makes a mistake and it doesn't matter because the hole's there anyway. So plugging big holes where you're bleeding out, if you're bleeding out, you can put a bandage on it. They save you a lot. And there are a lot of companies like this where there's bleeding out. The process is bleeding out somewhere, and we've got to find a way to fix it. That also, this is a lot of stuff I see, right? Because
Yeah.
I come as a consultant, we're bleeding out, try to help us fix it. I mean, it's also a tremendous revenue generator, but that's one where I think trying to fix problems where you see these huge problems and you can make some dent in the problem, it's tremendous. Uh, and I would just be, and that's where we've seen the best success.